ago I took a chance and joined the foreign currency dance. It's been a roller coaster ride, but we are close, they have nowhere to hide. Man, I need some good luck, because until then I'm stuck between Iraq and a hard place. I've waited long enough, see the lines on my face. I bought some dinar from a farm and went long on the dawn. So close to a RV now, hope nothing goes wrong.
Welcome to Pimpy's Investment Chat, where we keep investment talk simple. And here's your host, Pimpy.
What is going on out there, peeps? Yeah, 50 million of you guys sent me that song, so I had to check it out. Trust me, I'll have a reply real soon for that song. I'm already playing with the reply. Should be a lot of fun. You guys should enjoy it. Anyways, let's get into what's going on, because as usual, there's a lot of BS. Look, I put out a couple of videos covering people constantly talking about comparing Iraq to Kuwait. There's no comparison. And so there's a lot of details in there. Should answer all your questions, all right? So let's get into this, shall we? Before we get started, do me a favor, hit the thumbs up button. If you're not a subscriber, please do so, because when you do, it helps out the channel, and I certainly do appreciate it.
Right? Mountain Goat says, I got all sorts of odds. They must be making more money. Mountain Goat. I do not believe for 1 second that they intend to use the U.S. dollar anymore for trade. They're not. They made it illegal to use the U.S. dollar on the streets in Iraq. It's illegal to use the U.S. dollar. They want the parallel market to be squished. When's the last time you heard the CIBI talking about selling dollars? They haven't. Their foreign reserves are steady, strong, and solid, and they're backed by gold and everything.
The foreign reserves are not backed by gold. The foreign reserves and gold are part of the same asset group. So no, their foreign reserves are not backed by gold.
They've also said they have enough cash reserves and foreign reserves to back every single currency that's ever been printed that's valid, like the ones with Saddam Hussein's picture you never want to invest in.
I'm not surprised she's an idiot. First of all, Iraq does not have enough foreign reserves to cover every currency that's ever been printed. The U.S. alone has printed over $2.3 trillion. That's just the U.S. As far as, what did she say, that's legitimate? Currencies that's legitimate? Well, the Saddam Hussein notes, they were at one time legitimate. They've been discontinued. The new Iraqi dinars are the one that we currently see out there. So I don't know what the hell she's talking about, but that's just it. She goes on babbling all the time, talking about shit. You would think as a woman that talks to God, God would have educated her by now on this crap.
Those are illegal, right? And they have been, but the currency you hold is worth a lot, so don't let anybody steal it from you. How can they do this without Iraq being on the Forex? They can't, guys. Iraq is going to be revalued soon.
There's no proof the Iraqi dinar will revalue anytime soon. She's blowing smoke up her ass. That's what these guys do.
They are looking for a central bank digital coin, just like all the countries are, including America. They're going to call it something that isn't going to scare you, but it's going to be something. Whether they call it USDT or RLUSD. Have you heard that? People think Ripple's not centralized. Oh, it is. Remember, they got all their cryptocurrencies approved by the World Economic Forum. Let's not forget that.
No, Ripple did not get their cryptos approved by the World Economic Forum. They don't need to go to the World Economic Forum to have their cryptos approved. Now, Ripple and the World Economic Forum are aligned on many goals when it comes to the digital currency, yes, but they didn't need the World Economic Forum's approval for the cryptocurrency.
Mark Z says via PDK from a former parliament member, Parliament finance excludes sending budget tables within 2 months. That's its value. In other words, they are still hiding that value in the budget. This is similar to what we saw in Kuwait just before the RV.
No, that's not what you saw with Kuwait before the RV. They both lie. Mark Z's full of shit. The word is he's supposed to have a new contact person. That guy goes through more contact people than people do underwear. None of them are worth a shit. All these years later, what is it? He's got somebody in Parliament? Is that what it is? Good Lord.
So Mark says he's hopeful that this is not a delay. It's just them putting a smoke screen in front of our eyes. Mark, I think those are wise words, and I'm glad you have somebody in Parliament now.
They're not wise words. They're just gibberish, jabberish bullshit.
But guys, I think we have the best contacts, the high up military there. And
Military ain't got shit to do with the Iraqi Dinar. Not at all. She don't have no contacts. She just lies to you, just so you're aware. She does not have the best. Mark Z don't have the best. None of them have a actual contact. They just lie to you.
And high up to the people that are in our chat. And so, guys, I love you all. I hope you...
So I can see Melanie hasn't changed. She's still full of shit. And why people keep referring to Mark Z. Dude, he's got all those videos. All you guys got to do is go back and just pick one randomly. Listen to it. He's been saying the same shit forever and a day.
You tell me what you think, okay?
Okay.
Here we go.
Welcome to Dinar Revaluation Channel. Redemption centers are active biometric NDAs, quantum access cards, and the new financial order. Across secure locations in Reno, Zurich, Shanghai, and beyond, redemption centers are functioning under maximum military protection. These are not myth. These are classified financial transition hubs where select Tier 3 and Tier 4B individuals are receiving access to their funds, but only after passing biometric NDA clearance. Eyewitness testimonies describe retina scans, palm vein verification, voice biometrics, and DNA-encoded access confirmations. Subscribe to our channel and click on our notifications so you stay updated with our updates.
Good Lord, that is where everybody is right now. You know who used to put out videos like that and now he can't even use his own voice? That Nick Fleming guy? He's probably the same guy making those videos. Who knows? But that sounds like him. Just putting out there all kinds of bullshit and seeing where it lands. But I understand where you're coming from. It's interesting because I caught something similar to what Carl caught.
Welcome to the Dinar channel, where we blow smoke up your ass by using fancy words and terms that make us sound legit. It's real easy to get you suckers. I mean people to follow us by simply claiming to talk to intel people we've made up, having a source that doesn't exist, or our personal favorite, claiming to talk to God for information about the Iraqi Dinar. We'll con you out of your money by selling you shit that doesn't work. Financial advice and programs you can get for free off the internet. By the end of the day, my face always hurts from laughing at the stupid shit you all believe. If you dare try and ask questions we can't answer, we'll block you or remove you from our groups and videos. We can't understand why you insist on following and believing in so-called gurus that refuse to show you any proof of anything they're talking about by claiming we have an NDA. Be smart, make us prove what we're saying. Listen to those who can prove what they are talking about. Hold on, a quick special announcement. If you're looking for a guru who has legit intel, actual contacts, friends at the CBI, military connections, knows the real 1-800 numbers, where all the real redemption centers are, can get you into Tier 1 or Tier 2, and hookups to get you a better exchange rate. Listen to Pimpy.
Good Lord, a special announcement. That's pretty scary.
Absolutely. Subscribe to their channel so you can be along with their updates. Guys, can we all together as one big group say bullshit?
A bullshit? A bullshit? A bullshit. A bullshit.
A bullshit's right.
I appreciate you coming and asking, though. You know what I mean? I'm a grown man. I can deal with that. Wayne Dong.
His name is Long Duck Dong.
You know, back when Pimpy was talking about gold and silver a couple years ago, or even a year ago, if you would have got in, you would have made some money right now. You know, so absolutely. Let's see here. Let's move on. Edward Carroll, 4076. You and the Pimpster are on the same guru level of international section currency reinstatement ignorance as the rest and spreading total bullshit.
Well, Edward, I tell you what, you're more than welcome to come on my channel. You don't think I know what I'm talking about? I challenge any of those gurus. Many times I have. And I'll challenge the listeners as well. If you think you know more than I do, come on, bring it on. Anybody in the Dinar community, listeners, or content creators, you guys don't know shit compared to what I know. I'd be more than happy to entertain you coming on and proving to me that I don't know what I'm talking about. I would enjoy it.
Also from Stormy, these gurus should be held accountable in the end for the lies and for telling hopium stories that they are even not sure if true from their sources. There's one that's 100% sure about the RV coming, and that's John Dowling. He's very believable and intelligent. Would love to see him and Pimpy have a show together. Well, I'll talk to Pimpy. Maybe we can make that happen, right?
Bring John on. I've invited him before. I got something from him or one of his people inside Twitter, but unfortunately, by the time I got the message, it was so old. Unfortunately, but yeah, I'm willing to sit down and have a talk. I don't have a problem with that. But you're not going to get very many gurus coming on the show to have debates. We'll have conversations, but none of them will debate. So reach out to him, Carl, or if John hears this, I'm willing to do an interview and answer questions. As a matter of fact, here's John with Con Z.
So let's get started here on some of the screenshots. None of this is a surprise to you or the audience, but when I woke up this morning here in frigid LA, it was like being shot out of a cannon with news. And the gold's at an all-time high. This was this early this morning. Now I think it's, let me take a look in real time. Let's see what we got. 34, 36, 80.
This is about a week old, but even so, gold is still continuing to run. Just keep in mind, the silver will eventually catch up. Gold never comes down to the value of silver. Silver always goes up to the value of gold. So you can't expect a huge jump in the value of silver. So buy now.
It was 34, 44, 30, something like that. So it's already at all-time highs. Silver was up 33 and 16, something like that this morning. What I found particularly interesting was that the dollar index is now below 100. It was 98 last night on the London side, as you probably know. And one of our economists on our team, B, really feels adamant that that's important. We saw Brent crude, I think last week, go below 59.
Brent crude oil below 59. And what did I tell everybody? What did I warn everybody about? Remember this? I said Iraq needs to be very careful about how they set their budget. How they run into a deficit is because they always set the price for crude oil at a certain level. If it falls below that, they're going to be hurting. They almost went bankrupt because of it. The price of oil kept dropping and dropping and dropping. That's because Trump got in office. Well, guess what? Trump got back in office. Guess what's happening to oil prices? Dropping, dropping, dropping.
This came up this morning. I don't know if you saw it in Shafak News. Iraq PM launches 1.67 billion infrastructure blitz. So they're really trying to push, obviously, you know, the massive infrastructure of the Port of Fa. There's some other information here.
For those of us who are invested in the Iraqi stock exchange, pay attention. Because like I said, the one thing about the gurus, all they do is just repeat whatever is in the news. But it's good if you own stock in the Iraqi stock exchange. They keep talking about how the economy continues to grow, get stronger. This is great news for stockholders.
Which will go through Sudani and Dakar, the infrastructure push once again. As you know, the late Benny Wilson talked about a water shortage going on.
What I remember of Benny was this. I talked to the old world order and I have spoken to the new world order. And they tell me that Pimpy is Kabul.
Water shortage going on in Iraq, especially when you're dealing with a desert area, which in California, I'm not unfamiliar with that, depending where you are. He was saying when that happens, that is definitely a sign, if you will, of the incoming plane landing for said reset.
Yeah, everybody's got a sign for the reset. Well, what Benny was talking about was I released a video explaining why Iraq doesn't have the type of agriculture that they used to have. A big portion of that was the fact that they were having a water shortage. Now, people want to claim, oh, it has to do with the climate and there's a drought. Well, part of it was a little bit of a drought, but no, that's not actually what was going on. Right above them is Turkey. And Turkey had all these dams blocking the water. And there was an agreement between Iraq and Turkey as to how much water they were going to release. And they weren't doing it. They were only doing maybe 10% of what they're supposed to be doing. And it caused most of all the water to drain. So it just really just annihilated their agriculture. So if that was a sign, that's been going on for a couple of years now. I don't know how much of a sign it is.
So we're starting to see that. Interestingly enough, staying with Iraq, Swisher 1776 on X put this out. You probably already know this. The SDRs are showing here 1776. There's a calm. I mean, emancipation, freedom, devalue to revalue sure seems that way to us.
The funny thing is most of the content creators out there have no idea what SDR means and what it does.
No, that's also just a note as you go back with the economists from your group on the devaluation. They're setting this up for a reset, even the U.S. dollar. But go ahead.
No, thank you for adding that. That's exactly right. So again, I don't know how much of this you have or haven't seen because I know information flies your way all the time. So Donnie, the Arab Summit, Baghdad will be very important to the Arab world. Well, they're meeting right now in a delegation. They started this weekend going all the way to the end of today.
I hope people understand what Trump is trying to accomplish. In his first term, he tried to devalue the U.S. dollar, and he couldn't get no help from the Federal Reserve. He wanted to devalue the dollar, said it was too strong, and causing too many other countries to get rich off our dollar. Now he's back for a second term, and what's he trying to do once again? Devalue the dollar. Because when you devalue the United States dollar, all the debt that we owe to other people, we get to pay it off cheaper because the dollar is not as valuable as it used to be. So when we lose value in our dollar, that's exactly what it is that Trump's trying to accomplish, to pay our debt off with cheaper dollars.
Going over here, this is a short video I just want to play for you. I'm sure you're familiar with Jim Rickards, and this has to do with the Sovereign Wealth Fund, I think is what he's referring to. So let me just cue up the sound here real quick, and we'll play that and go from there.
In 1873, Congress quietly established something I call a secret trust for the American people. And for more than a century, this fund has quietly grown, untouched, into a $150 trillion fortune. That's enough to pay off our entire national debt 4 times over. If you divided it by the number of households in the U.S., it would be enough to turn every American family into a millionaire. Now, this trust should have enriched generations of Americans. That was its intended purpose. Instead, for more than a century, it's remained sealed off from the public. But that's all about to change. Thanks to President Trump. You see, for the first time in more than 40 years, the president has the authority to release this secret trust. It's all thanks to a 2024 Supreme Court ruling. That ruling had paved the way for President Trump to unleash this $150 trillion wealth reserve, and he's clearly stated his intentions to do so. Look, if you understand what's coming next, and you take the proper steps today, you could watch your net worth soar in the coming years.
Now, I've heard rumors about this going back forever and a day, it seems like. Everybody gives a special name, how Mark Z with Mike Contrell were scamming off this so-called global wealth fund, going all the way back to frickin' beginning of the 2000s. They would just use that to push all kinds of other bullshit that was out there. And I can show you that. That's no big deal. But we've heard about the legit side of this. Anyways, I'll look more into it and then share it with y'all. All right, I'm just going to fast forward to what Mark says.
What are your impressions of all this?
Yeah, I'm like, where do I start? Because there's so much to cross. I mean, you left out some of the big ones. Klaus Schwab steps down. Pope passes away after a brief, 17-minute, not even 17-minute visit. His motorcade was only there, J.D. Vance's, for 17 minutes or so.
Yep.
And you were talking about some of the wealth in Iraq. Very few people are touching on fertilizer. They're touching on the water. They're touching on all that. They are.
I did. When I did my Iraq versus Kuwait videos, I spoke about the fertilizer.
Putting fertilizer plants. They used to be the breadbasket of the Middle East, the fertilizer producer of the Middle East, and they are going back online with that one. And I've not seen many gurus, intel, economists, or whatever really talking about that one. But that is a huge level of stability for the Iraqi economy.
I spoke about it.
And I definitely wanted to back up to that Arab Summit. I had a finance and ministry contact tell me some time ago when they were first talking about it.
Oh, that's what he's saying is his new contact. The finance and ministry. Is that his new thing? Be careful, John. Mark's full of shit.
Requirements for them to host it was that they had a new value for their currency before the Arab Summit. And now, is that still holding true? I don't know, but we got an Arab Summit next month. I've got
I guarantee next month's gonna come. There won't be any new revaluation, and Mark will have another excuse to kick the can down the road.
Number of bond contracts saying, hey, we did contacts telling me they need 1 to 2 more weeks and they will be done.
Has anybody asked Mark what bonds he's talking about? Show you an example of the bond. He doesn't have to have the bond. If he has one, that'd be nice. But to show you a picture, there's got to be a picture out there. He just keeps saying bonds. It's like throwing shit up against the wall, hoping something sticks. What bonds are you talking about? He's been speaking about them since the early 2000s. So what bonds are you talking about, Mark? If he can't give you a specific type of bond, then he's just pulling your leg. Anyways, I don't need to go on and on about that. Yeah, so if Carl wants to set up with John, we can do an interview. He can ask any kind of questions. I can ask any kind of questions. That'd be great. Let's see what kind of answers we get. See where this goes. I think it could be very, very informative. Let me know what you think. Anyways, that's it for now. I'll catch you later. I'm out.